Okay, One Piece chapter 1113. I'm sorry if I ramble, because this chapter, it's one of those that kind of breaks your mind. I know we say it all the time. I've kind of been up all night, all right? I don't want to, but I've kind of been up all night. Chapter came out early, and either way, we're eating good, boys and girls. We're going to start from the top and we're going to end at the end. Sorry. I know the thing that we all want to talk about is basically One Piece, the One Piece world being underwater. Had an amazing conversation with some friends after the live reaction, and my mind is all over the place. But let's start from the cover art. Request, Robin playing chess. I think this is an excellent concept. Nami being the queen, having basically Zoro and Sanji as knights, Jinbei and Frankie as rooks. Brilliant concept. I love it. I also love how this tied into the chapter and how Robin was being protected by all these people, even though she's playing chess and she's not the queen, whatever. Sorry. Let's continue. We were all wondering what Mars saw. The speculations were out there. Is he seeing NL? No one said NL. I just made that up. Arthur from the Library of Ohara was saying that the sound effect in Japanese was basically a sound of something bubbling in water. Or bubbling within a liquid. So it led us to believe that it was something like in a chamber, or just like we see here, a brain in something and it's bubbling. People were saying that it has protection. I was saying that, something is protecting it. No, it's just there. I think it's jarring when you see it because it's just a big ass head that's just there, alive, hooked up to everything. You're wondering like what it would look like, and it looked exactly like you thought it would look like, but you didn't think about it looking that way because there's no way it would look that way, and it looked that way. Vegapunk. The fact that Mars was so taken aback tells you just how jarring it was. It felt like it was in another manga, from another manga. I felt like it was from Berserk, something just insane. Wow. I like that as we go through the different parts of the One Piece world, Vegapunk's speech is continuing. It continues to go. And of course, it was a dummy. Mars did not find the actual Denin Mushi. I mean, we all knew it was a dummy because the story has to go on and the plot revolves around the message. So you can't just stop the message. Mars had to fail, and he failed. And then it's a reaction chapter, meaning it's a reaction from different parts of the One Piece world, which are some of our favorite chapters. Every time these show up, I'll let you guys know that because we genuinely enjoy these, right? Just letting us know different perspectives from some of our favorite characters. You can't really beat that. You can't really beat that. He asked a question, which is something that I believe in, whereas I don't think Vegapunk is dead, because he asked, is his consciousness even housed here? And, what is death to something like this? I'm just like, that's the big question. That's really the big question. How does one die? How does this die? Because the brain is clearly still alive. Vegapunk's consciousness, is it there? Did Vegapunk find a way to separate his consciousness into a dummy body? I predict that Vegapunk, his consciousness will become like a Jarvis. Could be a body, could be a ship, could be a weapon. I don't think his consciousness is right now currently tied to his brain, and Mars is asking the same question. Again, love the reactions. We go to Surf Village, we go to Baltimore, we go to where Chopper was training, we go to all these different places, giving us perspectives. I like how the people of Baltimore, they just respect Vegapunk, and they're just like, yo man, was he really from here? Because Vegapunk is world renowned. Even if you don't know him, you know of him, you've heard the name. He is the world's greatest scientist, the world's greatest mind. And again, the credibility lends itself to everyone listening. And Vegapunk, he kind of bet on that. I also like the perspectives on Vegapunk where people understand that he is a great scientist, but they're also questioning, hey, he is the king of modern science, but he also makes weapons. So I'm weary on the type of man that he is, which is why I appreciated Vegapunk's speech so much, because he kind of disarmed all that, which is like, yo, I'm not the authority on morality, which he really isn't. And it made me look at Vegapunk's character a lot differently. I know we're not at the speech yet, just to let you know, Vegapunk's character grew for me in this chapter because this guy is not just willfully ignorant. He is actively thinking about the world and how to make it better, which we knew, but he wasn't just dismissing all of the shortcomings and the things that came from the concepts that he created. No, he was taking on that burden, understanding the weight that comes with it, and he was shouldering that, and he was willing and ready to accept his fate whenever that would come. And of course, there were contingencies in place. So he's that dude. For real. Of course, Mars is pissed because he just destroyed a dummy Den Mushi. He's flying all around, wreaking havoc, trying to figure out what's going on. And now they're telepathically talking again. They're like, yo, what's going on? You didn't destroy it? Mars is like, no, I can't find it, bro. But I think I know what his plan is. His plan is to continue exactly where Ohara started. And we're kind of and you could tell by the reaction of all the Gorosei that they realize that they're screwed. It's pretty much checkmate because something we talked about before, shout out to my boy Hidden Island again, we talked about just the name of the ancient kingdom, Vegapunk continuing that research, and that's something he was focused on, and they know that they are screwed. They have no idea what he's going to say, no idea what he's going to focus on. They just have to sit there and wait. We talked about this last week, about where everyone was, and the closest person to Venus was Sanji, and the closest person to Mars was Zoro. Of course, Mars is on a move again, but it made a lot of sense why Sanji was the one to intercept Mars. Mars intercept Venus Juro this chapter just because he was the closest. Now, prototypical Sanji goes, does something really cool, and then Sanji gets flexed on. I don't think it was that bad considering that he wasn't really hurt, but it was just like, Oda just does this song and dance with Sanji. Even when I was reading the chapter, I was like, okay, even with Sanji doing something this dope, I don't want to get too high or too happy because I know what is to come, which is saw with Kizaru, saw it with Saturn. It's just, these things just continue. So it happened again. It's not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. Just how Oda handles Sanji, I guess. Just how you handle Sanji. Before we focus in on Vegapunk, because that's the major part of the chapter, let's talk about Bonney really quick because she uses distorted future again, and she uses a giant future. This devil fruit is insanely broken because I'm like, what are the limits to what she can do? And so with Bonney, we understood that the devil fruit power is something they were experimenting on, and she just happened to get the power because some of the experiment failed. But what kind of devil fruits and experiments were they doing up there to have a devil fruit like this that is this broken and this powerful? A distorted future, which is just like a giant. We saw her do a Nika future as well. The girl is insane. Back to what I mentioned earlier about Vegapunk, because he said he committed 2 grave sins. Now, what those sins are, I think one could definitely be the mother flame and creating that so that the world government can have shit to destroy the world, and also probably creating Kuma and the powers that be, and what has come from creating the Pacifista, where it's gotten way out of control, even gotten up to the Seraphim. So those could be it, or just, I think one is definitely the mother flame, because that is insane. But he's accepting it, and he even said, yo, for my transgressions, somebody probably will kill me. And I absolutely love the fact that he is ready and willing to accept that fate. It was jarring for a lot of the people listening because he said, once my heart stops beating, it will deliver the message. So they're like, wait, so is this guy dead right now? It's like, yeah, his heart has stopped beating. Doesn't mean he's dead though. So it's like the wording, the verbiage is very particular where you could think he's dead. I don't think he's dead. His heart just stopped beating, which typically means he's dead, but this is One Piece. Listen, Vegapunk said something that sticks out to me every single time I start to doubt something, where he said, isn't this world amazing? Isn't this world unbelievable? Isn't this world wonderful? Where it's just like, bro, you literally can think and want something bad enough and it will happen in this world, which makes it unnatural. And that's why the sea hates it. That's the type of world that we live in. So it's just like anything is possible. Anything at this point. Interesting seeing Sabaody and seeing Duval, but even Caesar. Looks like he's really disturbed by it because they teamed up to surpass Vegapunk. That's not going to happen. Big news. He's more worried about Vegapunk taking his job and going towards like creating a social media where people are getting all these broadcasts, and right away where it's like, yo, you trying to get rid of print media? Which for big news, I'm like, hey man, you got to start advancing because you're gonna get left behind. Seriously. But Vegapunk clarifies, just because they struck me down doesn't mean that they're evil, right? That's not for me to judge at this point because I just simply don't know enough. One last thing before we get to Vegapunk, and the message at the end of the chapter is that panel protecting Robin. We saw what happened. Saturn trying to do his thing. All those Straw Hats protecting Robin gave me Sabaody vibes, gave me Enislabi vibes, Order 7, where they were willing to do whatever it takes to protect Robin. They said that, and they're proving that right now. All the Straw Hats coming together to do this. I mean, it just made me feel really good because they do not go back on their word. They mean what they say, and they're willing to protect Robin with their every breath. So that panel, with all of them doing their thing, it just made me smile so brightly, bro. It's just dope. Mars said something as well, right? Mars said something about there are too many life forms in the vicinity of the laboratory, and he cannot sense any unique telepathic waves, which is just like, is everything he's been doing just regular observation haki, or does people are speculating that all the Gorosei have the voice of all things? I don't know. But what he says here kind of leans itself to observation haki, but he can't sense it. He can't sense any unique telepathic waves. So it could just be telepathy, or it could be a mixture of both. Observation, which is telepathy, is kind of like a path off of based on observation. So it just gets really confusing. Take what I just said with a grain of salt because we really don't know. But I thought that was a very interesting hint. York, she doesn't give a shit. She's just still worried about herself and how to become a Celestial Dragon. And I do think that they're going to find the Den and Mushi and cut it off at the wrong time. So we're not going to get the entire message, but we're going to get something. We already gotten something. Mars considers destroying the power station. Saturn says, no, we can't do that. Think about the marine ships and all this different stuff. We're losing too much. Then Vegapunk drops a bomb on the world saying, hey, our world is going to sink into the ocean. And okay, at face value, for most, I think it's just like, okay, what are we talking about? For a lot of people that's been speculating and talking about certain things, this is moving you very, very much so. Of course, the first thing you think of is Noah and the Noah's Ark, and of course, how he ties into the Bible. I mean, for the longest, we thought that Noah was basically for the fishman to bring them to the surface. No, we're really going towards end of world, rapture scenario where the ark is meant to transport people. And so you start looking at all these different things that's been happening in regards to the Red Line, Tequila Wolf, the Arc Maxim for NL, all these different outliers, Wano and the old Wano being underwater, and even how the arc started with the Egghead cover story, where it started with underwater Wano and Onigashima being thrown into underwater Wano. So then you start thinking about things like, okay, underwater Wano, if they open the borders, the water then seeps out, then Pluton is accessible, and then at that point it could disrupt more of the world. It lends itself to so many different theories out there about the world and what the world was before it, where it is now. And you think about the cleansing with the Gorosei, where they say it's time for the great cleansing. Is it something of their doing, or it was just time considering what was going on in the world? The instability of the world makes the cleansing even more interesting. Even the Gorosei and them maintaining the balance. The balance isn't because they don't want to destroy the Yonko, or like why they are helping the Yonko, supplying weapons to damn near all of them. But you think about it, the balance makes sense for them because it's just buying time for them to get to this cleansing, to somewhat rid the world of all the people that are getting close to the information, to the truth, and then we reset, right? Because now we get rid of all these truthers, all these people believing it, and the people that seemingly would like to live, they have to pay for access to either Tequila Wolf or probably the Red Line to prevent themselves from being destroyed from the flood or whatever is to come. Whitebeard destroying the world, that makes more sense now because it's just a little instability and it all crumbles. Guys, there's so much more that I have to get to in regards to just this small knowledge that I think is really breaking the One Piece world at this point. I'm going to tomorrow talk about or show you guys a conversation I had with two of my great friends, Sage and Theory 2. They talk about so many different theories because they have talked about being flooded for years now, right? So we got into a really deep conversation about so many different things. Man, oh man. Guys, even Sanji got a dub here, right? With All Blue, it is inevitable. And it could be something that more than likely existed in the past. But now you start thinking about the world and how it's constructed, the Red Line, just everything and how it is, why the Gorosei live atop the Red Line, why the Lunarians were atop the Red Line, Zunisha, and why Zunisha was supposed to walk for that long, why that was the Minx's home. The speculation was they did something that destroyed the Minx's home, and so they were basically punished to protect the Minx by being the home of the Minx. Then you think about Joy Boy and Joy Boy apologizing to Poseidon of the past and what Joy Boy could not do. Some of the apologies, they don't feel like apologies because of failure, but just because, hey, I have to do something that's deemed more important. And I think of Odin somewhat sacrificing his life for what the future could be, opening the borders of Wano. So there's so many different ties into this that I don't think it's as simple as, yo, this. There are so many different variables. When you think of Eni's lobby, that hole, right? And just the waters and the current around it. How did that come to be? And of course, the Mother Flame and how it impacts the world and the tides and the seas. This is, okay, we say this all the time, this broke the story, this changed One Piece forever, this changed One Piece forever. Something I said is that even if you go back and read One Piece today, based on this news, this information, you will look at One Piece completely differently. Talking about Skypiea, NL and the Arc Maxim, even some of the stuff NL found out at Fairy Verth, right? These things tie so well, and they've been leaving hints so many different times about the world at some point being underwater, a flood happening before. Then you think about the giants, right? 200 years ago, the ancient robot. Why did it go off when the fishmen went to marry Joa? And the fishmen, of course, they would thrive in a world where it was just all blue because they're fishmen. Are they evolutions? Are they people that were about to drown, about to die, they wished themselves to be? Then they were? Guys, it's a deeper conversation. It really is. That's just the start of it. Give me your thoughts though. What do you think about this? How do you feel about it? How does it make you feel? For some people, I'm saying they're like, well, why is this a big? I think this is a major freaking deal because the One Piece world is going to sink into the ocean. All the different stuff with Emu. Then you think of the chamber where they have all the different hats and stuff. Are those just trophies? We talk about it. I'll give you guys tomorrow some of the stuff we were talking about because it's a really important conversation. But yeah, leave your thoughts below. What do you think about all this? Especially the last few words. Our world is going to sink into the ocean. Let me know how you feel. Like the video, subscribe, much more to come.